So this is a CKBURNER waste oil burner kit that I installed on this older, we'll call it vintage furnace that was destined for the scrap heap at the time. But you know, the blower up top still worked and the burner was a disaster, so I borrowed a burner from another furnace and built this using those parts. Wiring's kind of there, but it works. And cut a hole and put the temperature controller over on this side, and got it all wired in. Got my air gauge and regulator switch. This is my fuel line, which I'm going to hook up here in a second. I left the fuel pump on to block the hole. It's not connected to the motor though, and you can see a couple pieces of tape on there that I had to use to block some holes in order to get the burn as best as possible. And I just recently had this thing come up with a no fire, which it usually doesn't do, but I put my waste oil in this old boat tank, and I use a funnel with a paint screen in it to keep the poo out of there, and just drilled a hole in it. And the clamp is to keep the copper line from going all the way to the bottom of the tank, so it doesn't suck any potential garbage down the bottom, and then it just connects together. So anyway, like I was saying, I had a no fire, so I pulled it down. I think my nozzle was clogged. It does happen. It happened once before. So I just pulled it apart, pulled it out, inspected it, cleaned it. I'm going to put it back together and we'll fire this thing up. I thought I'd give you a view of what it looks like inside the tube. I had to get the tube off of another furnace and cut it down and make it fit, and then stuff the nozzle block assembly in there and everything else. It's a little difficult to see inside there, but that's kind of how it's put together. And we're going to finish it up here and get it going. Alright, so I got the furnace plugged back in, and nozzle is still a little bit warm from earlier when the block heater came on. And here after a little bit, I can't remember what it is, like 15 seconds. Okay, got her all back together. You can see that the temperature usually stays between 175 and 185 or so. The controller is supposed to control at 180, but it kind of varies a little bit. Not sure why, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's all working as advertised, as it's supposed to. My blower fan just kicked on for the first cycle, and you can see that got a pretty decent little burn in there. I'm real pleased with that. As long as you keep it fairly clean inside, it will burn clean. The biggest thing is make sure you get your air mixture right. But a little bit of fine tuning on that, and looking for smoke out the stack, and you can tune that in pretty good. Wiring's was kind of a tough thing for me. I followed the directions as best I could. I ended up doing some research on furnace wiring, specifically because this machine was stripped to the bone, so I didn't have anything existing. But once you get it down and you follow the directions that comes with the kit, it really wasn't that bad. I haven't put a thermostat on it yet, but I'd like to do that at some point in the future. But in the meantime, it's been working great. Run this thing for about 10-12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Ran it all last winter. It's December now, and this thing really makes a difference when it's 30 and 40 below outside. Got a 3,000 square foot shop, and it heats it up very nicely and very comfortably, and works well. So, if you got any questions, be more than happy to answer. It is what it is, and it saves me a ton of money. So, thanks. Bye.